Negative incidents happen with everybody, especially with those who are on the spiritual path. We tend to come across needy souls, love deprived souls, who are probably looking for a dose of love. But the first question is it our job to go spreading love to people who probably are not ready to receive it, at least in that moment? Secondly, you cannot be prepared for a negative incident in advance. In the sense, in your morning meditation, you cannot sit and say to yourself that today I'm going to behave well with everybody, irrespective of how anybody behaves with me. That is very, very powerful and strong negative creation through the power of your mind. So how exactly to deal with or be prepared for such negative incidents? Subscribe to my YouTube channel Manifest with Sagar, and don't forget to hit the bell icon to receive the latest updates. Like I said, we cannot really be prepared for a negative incident because we do not really know what is going to happen throughout the day, who is going to come and misbehave and give us a bad experience. And if you have that based on a few past experiences, if you make that part of your daily meditation, then that would be like you looking for that out there, you activating that within yourself, and you creating those negative incidents through the power of your mind. We do not really want to do that, isn't it? First of all, we want to prevent that negative incident from happening altogether through that power. But even if you end up in being part of such a situation, you want to prevent it from being intensified. You don't want that to aggravate even more. So the best thing to do is to understand, first of all, that you can either be in an elevated state of mind, or in a positive state heading towards elevated, or neutral or negative. You are the most vulnerable when you are neutral or negative. You are definitely vulnerable when you are negative. You are vulnerable. Now, it is not necessary that each time when you go out of the house in a negative state of mind, or in anger or rage or frustration or desperation or jealousy or any kind of negative feeling, it is not necessary that a negative incident will happen with you. Many a times you may have experienced that you are utterly negative, but nothing negative really happens with you. But the risk here is that you are extremely vulnerable throughout that phase of carrying that kind of negative energy. You are very, very vulnerable, and you will not be able to handle that negative situation properly. Or sometimes what will happen is that you will overpower an innocent person and end up in hurting that person. That will make you feel doubly sad thereafter. So we want to prevent that kind of a state. The best state to be in is an elevated state of mind. I had mentioned this in the video Meditation Keeps You Safe, that if you come across a negative incident, the only question that you need to ask yourself is, did I meditate today? And the answer will be no, because if you have meditated using the correct ways that are best suited to you, you will not come across negativity throughout that day for at least 8 hours. The validity or expiry for your meditation is generally 6 to 8 to 12 hours, if done in the correct way, of course. This is the magic that I have been talking about since 2008, isn't it? I have seen this magic personally happening with me so many times. Now, of course, you never know that you didn't die today because a truck didn't run over you. That is not what you know. But what you know is the beauty and the magic that happens with you, that makes you feel very, very positive. Sometimes people misbehave, make mistakes, and don't even realize those mistakes. And you may wonder as to what is going on in this world, because you are the one working on yourself, but they are the ones coming and teaching you not to speak in certain ways just because they are misbehaved, even if you are not misbehaved in that situation. So it is very important to be self aware and also people aware to some extent, in the sense there are low energy people in this world. This is not to demean, denigrate, or disrespect anybody, but it is an awareness and understanding that irrespective of what you have or don't have in your life, there are two types of people: ones who are happy, others who are not really happy with their lives. Now, we who are working on this path do not have everything that we desire, but still we are trying to develop different kinds of attitudes, isn't it? We are trying to think differently, look differently. I don't want to say that we are positive and they are negative, but a better way of saying that is that we are trying to head differently, we are trying to think differently, we are trying to focus differently. That is what makes us spiritually elevated or elevating. But if someone is misbehaved, they are misbehaved. They are not supposed to misbehave. But if someone has misbehaved now, how you conduct yourself and how you behave in order to keep your experience, if not very, very elevated or positive, but at least a little neutral, is something that really matters. First, let's discuss what to do after the negative incident. Now, that negative incident may have occurred for any reason. That person was wrong, or maybe you were also wrong, or maybe the situation was not correct, the situation was not pleasant, or maybe you were not positively prepared beforehand, maybe you didn't meditate in the beginning of the day. Anything could be the reason. But now that it has already occurred, the very first rule is to not discuss it with anybody, especially your close members, because sharing negativity only increases it. Sometimes we tend to want to vent out the negativity in order to feel better about ourselves. But that does not help anybody at all. Unless the opposite person is spiritually elevated and can provide you with spiritual solutions, it is advisable to not discuss it with anybody at all. You can discuss it with your higher consciousness and then you will receive answers eventually, or you can discuss it with some spiritual mentor or any spiritually elevated person who is ready to give you real solutions. Otherwise, a strict no to discussing your negative experiences with anybody at all. The second thing is what to do while you are in the midst of that negative situation. The first thing to remember is that we cannot change people, period. That is out of the question. So, a very good reminder to yourself is PPF. This is a good acronym. P stands for professional conduct. Conduct yourself professionally. Be professional no matter what. And this can be understood better in a minute. The other P stands for precision. Be precise in your words, in your behavior, and in your actions. Be precise to that situation. And F stands for focus. Be focused on the task at hand. Instead of focusing on somebody else, focus not even on yourself, but on the task at hand. So be professional, be precise, and be focused. How can we understand being professional? By understanding what non-professionalism means as well. What is non-professionalism? When you take things personally, when you are badly behaved, when you immediately get irked or riled up by somebody else's behavior, when you get personal with somebody else, when you make bad remarks on somebody else, when you talk ill about somebody else, when you are not focused, not clear, and again not precise in the way you behave or the way you conduct yourself. That is non-professionalism, isn't it? Don't be such a person. I'm sure you have witnessed examples where you angrily responded to somebody, but the opposite person, for example, a customer support executive, only responded in a professional manner. That may have made you wonder as to how beautiful and how well trained that person is. Can we not learn from that? Yes, this is one of those easier said than done things, but isn't that the purpose of life? To continue to grow and continue to make your life experiences beautiful and positive. You don't necessarily have to go through many such negative incidents in order to become an expert in the way you behave in those negative experiences or situations or incidents or events. But keeping this reminder, I want to behave in a PPF manner, light-heartedly saying to yourself, let's go to the third point, of course, but light-heartedly reminding yourself of PPF behavior always helps. And the third point is what to do before such a negative incident occurs. Now, you cannot really predict or be prepared for a negative incident because that would be like creating that negative incident through the power of your mind. So, all that you can do is not only light-heartedly remind yourself during the day, while going out, before going out, to behave in a PPF manner. You can do that, or keep a check on how you feel about life, how you feel about yourself. The future is unknown. We never know who is going to come into our experience and misbehave or behave badly or ruin our experience for those few minutes, isn't it? But we can at least be self-aware, aware enough to keep a check on how we are feeling about ourselves and our lives. Let's elaborate on that. I'm someone who believes in preventing negative experiences altogether. But like I said, we cannot really predict that I didn't die today because a truck didn't run over me. You cannot know that. But there are, again, with this self awareness, so many instances when you know that yes, I'm able to handle this properly beforehand. I am able to not get into a conflict with somebody. I am able to not behave in a negative manner. I am able to keep my cool and keep a check on how I am, and build this very strong shield in order to not let anybody else's behavior affect me. This does need practice, and it is not a one day's job, but practice is what life is about. But it is also about attitude and priorities, isn't it? If my highest priority is to not let anything wrong slide, then there are very high chances of me getting disturbed or annoyed or irked or riled up or negative in certain types of situations. That is where your attitude also comes into picture. When you understand beforehand that there are frustrated people out there, there are people out there who are not doing anything about their betterment or self improvisation, or they are not trying to transform themselves into better human beings. When you are self aware, when you are self focused, when you get out of the bed with joy and happiness, you can sense that somebody is ready for a fight. That is the reminder to yourself that if I'm sensing somebody's negative or bad behavior, that is my opportunity to conduct myself in a very, very dignified manner. I don't even need to talk to misbehaved people, but I can always conduct myself in the desired manner. This video could have been just 1 or 2 minute long, but always remember that you are living a very peaceful and comfortable life. Now, as far as comfort is concerned, not everybody can achieve the same bank balance or the same physical materialistic comfort. But those walking on this spiritual path of self awareness are experiencing the peace and inner comfort that nobody else is. They are not even able to get a whiff of it. So remember this and act accordingly. Because as you may be able to imagine, someone who is not living a very comfortable life will always be bothered by somebody who is living a very comfortable life, especially if he's not working on himself or is not self aware on this path. This does not mean that you do not have to give negative feedback about somebody, because you do not have to generate negative energy in order to give negative feedback.